Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Welcome back to the Awaken Heart Podcast. Today I'm honored to welcome Julia Marie, a gifted intuitive, energy healer, and multi-award-winning author whose life journey is a powerful testament to the soul's capacity to awaken and transform. In this episode, Julia shares how she went from military service to serving spirit, opening up about the decades-long path that led her to discover and trust her intuitive gifts. We talk about the courage it takes to follow spiritual guidance, the importance of living from the inside out, and the profound healing available through mediumship and energy work. Julia also dives into her unique restorative energy technique, her experiences with past lives, and how we can all learn to tap into the wisdom within. Julia's memoir, Signals from My Soul, a Spiritual Memoir of Awakening, chronicles her 30-plus year journey and offers both inspiration and practical tools for anyone seeking to deepen their own connection to spirit. This is a soulful and empowering conversation for anyone navigating their own awakening or longing to reconnect with their inner truth. Let's dive in. Hello, Julia, and welcome to the Awakened Heart Podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to see where we go today.
Yeah, let's see where we go today. Another amazing conversation that I'm really excited to have. It seems like the Awakened Heart Podcast is on this theme recently with intuitive, spirit, mediumship, people cultivating their intuitive gifts. And you have such a fascinating story and a background. Like, you are so accredited. I was just reading off some of your accreditations and pretty impressive. I'm going to put a lot of these in the show notes. And you had said, like, 30 something years ago is where you had this extraordinary experience that led to you opening up to more of your intuitive gifts. Can you take us back to the moment of your first spiritually transformative experience, STEs abbreviated, and how did it change the course of your life?
Well, I like to say that awakening comes in many forms for many people. A lot of times it can come suddenly, like after the death of a loved one. A lot of people experience their consciousness getting blown open. In my case, it was more like the dawning of the sun rising over the horizon. Things started to change in my life, but I was unconscious, so I didn't know what was happening. Looking back, hindsight's always 20/20. I was then able to see my soul was calling me to awaken way back, 5 years before the actual events happened. So for me, I was just like everybody else in the world, living my life. I had a plan for my life. I knew what I wanted to do. Everything was laid out. And then spirit came calling. And the next thing I know, I had what I believe now was probably a Kundalini activation. I had spontaneous activation of healing, like my hands turned on. The heat rose up inside of me. I had round red circles appear on my body about the size of a dollar, silver dollar, where I later found, oh, that's where the chakras are. And the heat coming out of them was so intense. It broke blood vessels in my face. And also a red stripe up my back. Now, it took a while for the stripe to go from the base of my spine. It took weeks for it to get up to the top of my head, and it was very painful and heat all the time. Secondary chakras were hot but didn't turn red. And along with that came invisible people showing up in my living room. And okay, so I'm either going
Hello.
crazy or this is for real. So I started asking questions and received answers. So I grilled them like I would if I was an attorney in a courtroom. I started asking questions and I'm looking for inconsistencies along the way. All of the information made sense to me and it was coherent and cohesive and built on everything that came before that. So when I was encouraged by, at the time I just called it the voice because I didn't know what else to say. It was a voice in my head with a big V. When I didn't know what else to do, and I was told to basically sell my house and my law practice and to follow the voice. Now, I had free will choice. That's the wild card here on this planet. I'm not saying to anybody, give up your job because a voice in your head tells you to do that. Let's be really clear. I made that personal lifestyle choice for myself, probably because I was trying to discover for myself if this was really real. And so I did as I was guided, and I've followed that guidance for 35 years now, and I've never regretted it. I've grown and learned a lot along the way. Now, the teachers, that I call them teachers, it was a group of 7 beings that showed up in my living room, and they started with 7 principles, and there ended up being a few more after, but the original operating instructions or life guidance instructions I was given were 7 principles that I later found out are basically perennial wisdoms. We hear them all the time, but we don't really understand how they apply to our lives. But when they gave me those principles, they told me that if I lived my life according to those principles, I would be able to achieve my own enlightenment and I would not need an external teacher. So that's what I did. And like I said, I've never regretted it. Every homework assignment I was ever given taught me a lot about myself and about how to work with spirit in my way. And I don't know, I guess that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, that's pretty profound. And you had mentioned that's why back in 89 you became a Reiki master to really understand what was happening to you. You know, your hands, and then you had all the chakras, and then up your back. Like, it took a couple weeks for it to travel up your back. Is it something you sensed had gone all the way to your head, or it's something that did you see
I
red
could
going
see a
up?
red
How
stripe.
did that work?
I could see a red stripe about
Wow.
2 inches.
Do
Same
not even
like with
apologize.
the chakras, they were visible red, visibly red. Same thing with the stripe up my back. It took weeks for it to go all the way from the base of my spine to my crown chakra.
Wow, and was it just a red rash, and was it a continual rash that you had, or is it something that would just
It
appear?
was when the I called them power surges because it was
Mhm.
premenopause. So when the
Mm,
energy would surge, when it would come in or
mhm,
wake up or whatever was happening, then I would see these red orbs or the stripe. But then when the energy
mhm,
went away, they went away. And then once my
mhm.
body acclimated itself to those higher vibrations, I don't get the red anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so interesting. That's so interesting. And since then, you've been on this whole path where you've founded the Academy for Intuitive Arts. You've written a book, Signals from My Soul. You have life training courses for intuition, and you teach the foundations of mediumship, which is pretty amazing and fascinating. But before that, you transitioned from military service to serving spirit. How did that shift impact your identity in daily life?
Well, I will say the military provides you with a hierarchy, and so it was pretty easy to transfer my allegiance from a commanding officer to the universe. And so that's literally the shift that
Mm.
I made. Okay,
Mm.
so you're my boss. I will follow. The nice thing about working with spirit is we have free wills. We can say, "Look, I'm getting tired. Can I have a break?" And they'll back off. The energy will recede,
Military won't.
and the military won't. So there are some differences. There's more flexibility working with the infinite mind than there is with the
Mm.
military hierarchy. Okay, so I'm going to say the pay's not as good, but job
Right.
security. I have job security until I draw my last breath. I know who I work for. I know what I work for, and yes, it's
Mhm.
serving spirit in service to humanity and the collective awakening that's happening on this
Mhm.
planet. I believe that's why I've
Mhm.
come, why I'm incarnated, why a lot of us are here.
Yes, yeah, that's why we came, for sure, and, yeah, that must have been quite the transition because they're so different from each other. How long were you in the military? And
For a little
what
over
branch?
10 years, I was in the Air Force. Again,
Wow.
flight. Yeah,
Wow!
yeah.
You could fly the planes?
No, I fixed them.
Or you Oh,
Yeah,
look at you.
yeah. I was in
Figuring it out.
aircraft maintenance.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was it in one particular location, or were you sent all over the world?
But no, I was fortunate to be able to stay at the same base. I was on the West Coast.
Okay, San Diego?
No, I was in, Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, okay, not so bad. PNW, I lived in the PNW for a couple years, Portland, so great. Well, what was the most unexpected or challenging part of your awakening process?
The most challenging part was probably learning to trust and to interpret the signals, again, hence the name of the book.
Mhm,
The signals, is this my own internal little mind, or is this coming from higher wisdom? So I literally put it to the test and
mm,
learned the only way to really know for sure for everybody out there, learning to work with their intuition. Trial and error is probably the only way you're going to be able to definitively discern what's intuition and what's not. So you're going to have to act on those impulses that you get, validate or verify the results in order for you to understand, is this coming from my ego mind, my little self, or is this guidance from spirit, from my soul? And eventually you'll learn how it feels in your body when your soul is talking to you. And that basically is what I believe we're all fundamentally here to do, is to learn how to just follow our soul's guidance and our soul's wisdom as opposed to letting our little mind get in the way too much.
mhm. Because it's like, what is this coming from? Is this coming from outside? Is this coming from the energies that are out there? Am I taking on something that's not mine? Is this ego? How can I trust this? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's trial and error. You just have to
Mhm.
like take action steps according to what you're giving. You're going to learn if you get hit with a 2x4 or if you're going to be guided in the right direction. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I know back when we would talk about Reiki, and I'm going to be taking my master level in May, that I never really pursued it because Reiki 1 and 2, you have to trust what you're giving. And the ego got so much in the way because I don't want to be wrong or this is dumb. Nothing is happening for this person and getting out of my own way. So now I'm ready to get out of my own way and let intuition lead me more. But there's so many times so many of us are led astray, especially when it's, a lot of people get into that fight or flight response. And it seems like when there's fight and flight in that panic mode, there no reasoning or none of that, like all the practice boop goes out the window. What would you just say to somebody that is in that moment of panic, in that fight or flight, and are in that reactive state to be able to make a intuitive based decision with whatever they're dealing with in the moment?
Well, this is why we all need a really intuitive best friend that we can count on. Because if
Yes.
you're in a reactive fight or flight state, you're closing down, you're limiting the frequencies that can come into you. The filter is now fear. So if you're in the middle of something, there's no way you can get clarity. I'm sorry, you just can't. We're not meant to do this
Mhm.
by ourselves anyway. When I'm in that state, I don't look for answers for myself. I go to somebody who's not involved in the situation and ask them to please take a look at it. I may share with them the clarity or what I feel I need to do, and then see how it feels when I bounce it off of them. Because you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get clarity
Yes.
yourself.
No. No, I mean, you could try to ground yourself by touching yourself or doing, but it just doesn't work. And I do have a friend like that. Shout out to Kathy K, Kathy Celine K. She's my go-to. Like she will read the situation and she will give me the best advice even if I don't want it, and she lovingly tells it like it is. So thank you, Kathy. So it's very good to have someone always like that, or have a spiritual mentor
Uh-huh.
that you can go to, and that's why mentorship is so important.
Exactly.
And many people struggle to trust their intuition. I think the majority of people, unless they've fine-tuned it. What are some signs that we're receiving genuine intuitive guidance versus fear or wishful thinking?
Well, over time, if you pay attention to how your body is feeling when you get the initial hit, if you pay attention to that, that's a really good clear sign. Most of us don't. So I would say intuition is fast. It comes almost before you have time for a thought. So if you're already thinking or mulling over something, that's probably not intuition, because
Mm.
the intuitive hit, sometimes they come as nudges that will push, 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 and you won't really have a thought in your head, but you'll just feel pushed or have an impulse to do something. That's probably the safest intuitive hit that you could get. But for the most part, if you're overthinking something, that's not intuition. That, I
Mhm.
would say, is the biggest thing to watch out for.
Mhm. Something that just comes in the moment, and then we take that and we overanalyze it, overthink it, and we doubt it, and, "Oh, no, that I didn't get that." That's where we get into trouble. Instead of hearing it, is there a particular side? Does it matter? Because 'Cause I've heard left brain is more brain, and then your right brain is your intuitive. Does it
I always say
it's
left
just the quick thing
left
that
is logical linear, and your right brain
Mhm,
is the infinite mind. That's your connection to the infinite mind.
mhm.
Most people will hear their intuitive stuff on the right side of their body, like it'll go in the right ear. Mine's on my right side. Now, if you're getting
Interesting.
advice that says you have to do this, you should do this, don't do that,
Mhm. It's not it.
that's not intuition.
Yes. Run.
Run. Don't walk to the
Yeah,
nearest exit.
yeah.
Yeah. So those are all the things
So
for
what
people to consider.
Yes, for sure. So I think sometimes I have heard stuff and I thought it was intuition over on this side, but I'm gonna pay attention. So that would be more coming from the logical mind
I'm just saying,
if
for
I'm hearing
me,
stuff
I'm
on this
hearing it,
side.
I hear it on my right side.
Okay.
Even though the
Okay.
right
So there's
side
no
of your
right or
head is connected to the left side of your brain, I hear it on my right side.
right, okay. I think that's what I've heard too. So right brain intuition, it's
Yes.
on this side, right?
Right brain
Okay,
is
so I
the
am
connection to
hearing.
your intuitive mind. Yes.
Okay, so here's my
Left
right side
brain,
and then
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
is connecting on this
yeah.
side.
So if you're
That
hearing it
makes
on the right
okay, that makes
side, then I would say you're fine. That's where all my intuitive stuff is. I never look over here when I'm working with somebody. That's the where my logical mind is. I'm always right side oriented, even in my energy field when I'm doing intuitive work. Yeah.
okay. So right brain, so I have to
Intuitive
hear it
mind.
on the
Yep.
right side. Okay. Got it. Okay, because I hear stuff on my left side. All right. Got it. Got it. So you
Well,
teach people to
I, I
live.
I need to be clear. Just because you're hearing it on your left side does not mean it's your logical mind. Okay?
Right.
Because okay, I just
Uh-huh.
want to be clear. So if you're hearing
Sure.
spirit on your left
Mhm.
side, that's okay. Everybody's intuition works differently. Some people feel, some people
Okay.
don't hear, some people see.
Mhm.
I feel like I want to
And
say
that's where the practice comes in.
I feel like I want to say you're a knower anyway, so you just know things. You just know it. And you can't,
Yes.
and people will
Thank
go,
you.
"Why? How'd you know that?" "Oh, I don't know. I just know it."
Mhm.
That's your intuitive strong suit would be claircognizance. Clair claircognizance,
Mm.
yes, because you know things clearly. And
Mhm.
you don't know how
When
you
I get
know
out of
them.
my own way.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. When I get out of my own way,
Yep.
for sure. Thank you. Thank you for that. Cognizant. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Yeah, so you teach people to live from the inside out.
Yes.
What does that mean in practical terms?
In practical terms, what it means is everything that you need for your spiritual journey, including your connection to the infinite source, lives within you. It's hidden in plain sight. It's in basically your heart center, your chest. That's why you hear so many people talk about heart centered living and everything. It really is inside out. The deeper you go into, like the philosopher says, know thyself. The deeper you go into learning about who you are, the greater your understanding of how everything works. It is really inside of us. We don't have to, we are prone to seeking our answers and our input from outside of us. That's a 3D thing.
Mm.
Multidimensional living is inside out.
So, what is a simple practice someone can start today to strengthen this ability?
They could they could start by giving spirit 15 minutes a day to just
Mm.
sit and be quiet. Same place, same time. Set aside a place, even if it's just a chair in the corner of a room somewhere. Set aside a location where you are going to sit and commit to being open to whatever guidance is going to well up from inside of you. If you wanted to do a little mental visualization and walk down a path that's going to lead you to a chamber in your heart or whatever you need to facilitate that, do that. See yourself sitting inside yourself in it like a chamber, I guess would work, and allow whatever is going to come into your awareness and then write it down. Don't necessarily
Mm.
go into the session asking a question like, is my boyfriend being faithful? Don't do that. You're just going to start out by being open to whatever guidance may come to you. I only ever ask two questions. The first is, what do I need to do next? Because anything beyond that is not relevant. I just need to know what's the next thing I need to do. And if I proceed to do the next thing and I come up against some sort of barrier or obstacle, then I'm going to be asking, what do I need to know? So, what do I need to know is a really good question for these morning sessions. Just get yourself a journal or a notebook or something and write, what do I need to know at the top of the page? You're going to go into this, you're going to focus on your breath, and you're just going to do the whole breathing into your belly and relax yourself. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself sitting in a chamber in your heart. What do I need to know? And then whatever comes to you, here's what I would say: believe what you receive because you're getting it for a reason. And the more unusual or unlike your own awakening consciousness it sounds, the more likely it is probably coming from your soul.
Well, I love that because I literally just 2 days ago finally dived back into my meditation practice. I have over the last 2 years been huge transition. I've just been more in the 3D than my spiritual world. At least for a full year, I haven't really done anything. I've just been more like what's going on in the world, get up and look at my Instagram, get carried away, like la la la. So I just started doing the insight timer again. And as you were saying that, 7:30 in the morning, as it gets lighter, longer, earlier, I'll start getting up a little earlier. But like 7:30, I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to take the time. If I get up and I feed the cats and then I make my coffee and then if I sit on the chair, like all that time's gone by. So now as soon as I don't need an alarm, but like 7:30 comes around, I've just sat up, gotten comfortable, like put pillows up behind my bed. I opened the drapes. There was this beautiful blue before the sun came up is
Uh-huh.
this beautiful pink sun coming up. And I just sat there. It's been delicious. I mean, I've done like, I don't know, about 20 minutes, but it's been absolutely delicious. It's like my soul's been waiting for me to come home to it. And I love what you're taught, these meditations that you've given us, because that's such a wonderful thing to add into my morning meditation and just being more open to what is given instead of like, I was listening to, you can listen to guided, whatever you need to get you there, but being open to what you're receiving instead of coming in with something. So
Uh-huh. You'd be
I think that's a wonderful practice.
oftentimes you'll be surprised at what will come just by asking, what do I need
Hmm.
to know? It'll come out of left field,
Hmm.
but it's what you need to know at that moment.
Hmm. And then at the end, just write it down. And then if it doesn't make sense right away, it'll eventually start making sense.
Well, you'd be surprised. That's why I
Yes.
encourage people to write things down. Keep a record.
Hmm.
Number one, it will document your progress. And number two, there's going to be
Hmm.
messages in there that you may see that you would have missed because you didn't have the context of the other things that have come in around that.
And it doesn't have to be any, because I've tried journaling in the morning. I'm like, I got carpal tunnel. My hand hits. Oh, you have to do 10 pages of this. I'm like, and I'm resistant to that. So whatever comes, whatever you need to put out on paper, you
Uh-huh.
just put it out and then let it go. So that's beautiful. I love that practice. I'm going to start that tomorrow morning. But I'd love to switch gears a little bit and go into mediumship, energy healing, and past lives.
Okay.
You've trained as a medium and developed your own healing modality, restorative energy technique. How does RET different from other energy healing methods?
Well, RET is the name, the label that was given to whatever was activated in me back in 1989. Now, I did take Reiki, but that was only because there wasn't a name for whatever was flowing through me. So people would always say, what kind of healing do you do? And I would have to tell them the story. And I just got tired of repeating myself.
Mhm.
So I went and took Reiki in order to just say, when somebody says, what kind of healing are you doing? I just say, well, I'm a Reiki master, which technically doesn't answer
Yeah.
their question, but it gives them a box to put me in. And then I just went ahead and did
Mhm.
whatever I was guided to do. The hand positions for RET are very similar to Reiki, which surprised me when I took the Reiki class. I go, this is really like what they showed me. They're slightly different in that they deliver the energy to the body in a spiral, which is how the universe naturally
Mhm.
moves. And Reiki does it in a
Mhm.
straight line. It's straight line. If you
Mhm.
think of the hand positions, how they lay there straight, these spiral the energy. So
Mhm.
I probably went 15 years attuning people to Reiki Master. And then probably about, well, it's been about 10 now. So I'm going to say 12 years ago, I started getting the push. Remember, I talked earlier about how sometimes you'll just feel pushed to do something, and that's an intuitive hit. Well, I was being pushed to attune people to RET. And I said at the time, it didn't have a name. I said, well, I know that when you label something, you limit its expression. So whatever label we're going to give this thing has to be unlimited in its application. There has to be no parameters on it. And it took 30 minutes and I heard the words restorative energy technique. So restorative means to put back. Energy is the mechanism to do that, and the technique is the method that is used. I love pollen. I love pollen. Pollen is good.
Hey, yes, because everything's blooming and the buds are
Yes.
coming. I can see it out my window right now. Yes,
Sorry about that.
life
Yes, life is
and new
happening.
birth. No.
Yes. So
Yes.
so when I received the label RET and I looked it up, I was satisfied. Okay, I guess it is time. And then I wondered, well, again, hearkening back to the skeptic that lives within me. I have to know this is real, what I'm doing. I don't just experience something and go all of a sudden, I'm a master of this, that, or the other. So I took some of my longtime Reiki students that I had attuned to Reiki master, and I said, I need to do an experiment. Spirit's telling me I need to attune people to this thing that I'm going to call RET. It feels like it feels, to me, it's a 5D version of Reiki. It's
Mm.
it's the 21st century version of Reiki is about the only way I can equate the two. There are no symbols, there's just hand positions and intention. And so I brought these group of students to my house. I went through introductory program, showed them the hand positions and attuned them. Now these were people I had also attuned to Reiki months or years prior. Okay, so I just gathered me a control group. And at the end of the session, I asked them, number one, did you notice any difference between the two attunements? Because you've been attuned by me to both of these. Is there a difference? Because I don't want to go saying to people that I'm attuning them to something if it feels to people like it's Reiki. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you? I wanted to make
Yes.
sure
Mm-hmm.
that that it was authentic, whatever this attunement was. And pretty much every single one of them said, no, this is very different. And one of them actually said, this is like Reiki on steroids.
Mm.
So if I was going to compare the two, RET is like Reiki on steroids, only because I believe it's a 5D version. It's the 5D, it's
Mm-hmm.
the upgrade.
Spiral.
Yeah. So
Now, do you?
do
Oh, go ahead.
I do people to it when I get 6 people and I have
Mm-hmm.
almost enough to do another. I do it in residence over 4 days because I want them to leave certified. So leaving
Mm-hmm.
certified means you demonstrate to me in front of me that you can do the process. So they have to go through a certain number of trading healings. It's pretty hard on the body, which is why I do it in a container so they can go rest. So
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the weekend, they're leaving with their level 1 Reiki practice RET.
Great.
Now for me the
Well,
process
you're somebody.
for me the
Go ahead.
process for me the process has expanded. I no longer put people on a table, although I still could. I go into a trance right now and I hum or say what I'm seeing, and the work gets done distance. But people
Mm-hmm.
can feel
Mm-hmm.
things happening in their body.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like eventually there'll be a level 2. I just don't know when that's coming. I'm happy to do just the level 1 right now.
Because I know a lot of people that do Reiki or any kind of energy work, and it's remote. I mean, from all over the world. So I'm seeing that a lot, and that's very interesting. It's something that I might want to seek out to train with you too, because I like the idea of the 5D and the
Mhm.
spiral.
Yep.
And I've never been one that is where it's like, this is the way it is. This came from this master. I'm not a big regimented person at all.
Me neither.
And I don't believe anybody's a big guru or anything
Mm-mm.
that, like, no. But I do want the attunement and I do want to at least learn that level. Yours sounds like it's more aligned with who I am as a person and what I want to represent. So that's something I might have to do a 4-day workshop with you. Come down to Missouri, take a road trip, unless you start doing it remotely. But I'm going to definitely keep that in mind.
No,
I would love to hear.
I wouldn't attune people remotely. Even if I was
Right.
attuning people to Reiki, I'd have to do it in person. I don't I yeah. I need to make
Yes.
sure I'm making the connection.
I like in person
Yeah.
stuff. And that's why it was Kismet, the way that I was led. I'm like, okay, I want to get my master certification, but I don't want to do Zoom. I'm sick of staring at the
Yeah.
computer. I want it in person. And somebody was talking about, I was at a brunch and she was talking about amazing Reiki that she gets. And it's right downtown Rochester, which is like 2 miles from me. So I'm doing the full weekend. I like in person trainings. There's nothing like it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can see that. So I will seek you out. Maybe you'll have a fall group that gets together or a summer or
2
something.
more
So
people.
I'll keep you in my tabs. Yes. Can you share a profound experience you've had with mediumship or spirit communications?
They're all profound. I know that sounds really
Mm-hmm.
trite to say, but every single one of them is profound. And what I've learned over the years, mediumship will definitely develop your trust in spirit because you will never know at any given moment whether people are going to be there or not, but they always are. The loved ones are always there. Now, I will say that probably the most exciting experiences for me are when I draw the face of somebody, when I draw their face, and then it's weeks or months later that I encounter their loved one in the physical form. And then I go, oh, that face that I drew, do you recognize this person? And they go, yes, that's my fill in the blank. That to me is pretty cool. It just
Mm-hmm.
shows how hard spirit works to connect people with a medium that will be able to communicate on their behalf most proficiently, because it's a frequency match thing. It's a bandwidth thing for each medium, and there's a medium for every crossed over person in the world, but not every medium can connect with every crossed over person. So I always ask, please, if you can get your person to sit down in front of me, I'm happy to be your mouthpiece. I'm happy to share with you. Now, some of the things that have happened have been, well, the most striking one, okay, the most striking, I don't know if it was profound, but it blew me away, was I was pushed to go to a metaphysical event, one of those shows, body, mind, spirit type things, in Minnesota, which never been to before, only went one time. And so I went there, and it's not inexpensive to go to a road trip like that. They're only a 2-day show, which I don't like to travel that far and do 2 days. 3 days, at least I have a chance to break even if nobody knows who I am, right? There's a chance to. So I was worried about all of that, and I said to Spirit, okay, I'm really being pushed. All right, I will go and do this because you're pushing so hard. So I bought the space, lined up the people, and just said, if I break even, I'll be happy. And it was midway of the second day of the thing, so it was Sunday afternoon, and this young couple had been circling, and they kept coming by and looking at the list because I was surprisingly busy for a show I never went to before. But I know that was Spirit working with me to help me at least break even, so I didn't lose on this because I was following Spirit's guidance to go there in the first place. So I said I would like to please not have a loss. And this young couple kept circling, and I started getting nervous, and I didn't know why. And this was early in my mediumship journey before I really realized how intensely the communicators can influence you before their loved one shows up. I wasn't aware of that at the time. I was still early in my journey. And so this young man finally gets his chance. He sits down, and I asked, how may I be of service? Because that's usually what I say. And he said, I'd like to. And I said, if you want me to do mediumship, don't tell me who you want to talk to. So I proceeded to connect with a lady. First, she showed me her face was gaunt, and she had a thing and just one little piece of hair, and she had a head wrap on. I knew, oh, this is cancer. I knew she was. I said, well, I feel like you want me to draw your face. Can you show me what you looked like when you were healthy? And so then she morphed in front of me. And so I started drawing a picture while I was giving the reading to him. And I described her to him, and he said yes, he understood who it was. And as I'm talking, I'm drawing. And then at the very end, she mentioned a picture in a large oval frame, and she gave me the impression that he was carrying this picture with him. And so that's what I said to him. And I'm confused because my logical mind is trying to translate, how is he carrying this big picture in a big picture in a large oval frame with him? And so then first time in the whole reading, he had a smile on his face, and he said, would you like to see it? And I said, sure, because I was very curious. And so he stood up from the table, turned around, and I thought he was going to reach in his back pocket and pull out his wallet. But instead, he put his hands over his back and pulled up his shirt. And on his back was a tattoo of his mother's face, almost exactly like I'd just drawn the image, but it was surrounded with a big wreath of tattoo, like a garland around both sides. So it was like an oval frame. I actually said a word, an expletive, and because I couldn't believe it. It was like, are you kidding me? But I knew in that moment that's why I was sent to Minnesota. And I'm not a hugger normally with strangers. I'm not a fan of that. But when he asked me if he could give me a hug, I had this feeling wash over me. And it was like, okay, I'm supposed to hug this young man. See, I'm going to start crying because in that moment, it was pretty profound. So as I stepped around the table and he's coming to meet me, I could feel her energy slide in down to about my heart. So that when I hugged him,
She was hugging him.
she was hugging her son.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I guess that would be pretty profound. Yeah. And
And
yes,
that was early on.
yeah, before I understood really how mediumship worked, and
Wow.
yeah, before I had a lot of training, yeah, I was just trusting. Trust, trust spirit.
Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
and you journeyed all the way out there. It wasn't like it didn't look financially beneficial, you were worried about it, but you trusted and you went there and that was what you were given. Not only this gift to him and his mother who was on the other side, it was a gift to yourself to trust in what you're being given
Yep.
and what you're gifted to do.
And how it comes to me, that push.
Yes.
Yep. And yes, almost
Yeah.
to the penny, I
Push.
broke even. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you broke more than even financially to the penny you
Yes.
broke even, but you just like leaps and bounds what you were given
Yes.
to
Exactly.
yourself. Pretty amazing. Now, I don't know if this is anything that I don't know how you have to prepare yourself to see people that have crossed over, but is it possible for, I've had two very close people to me in the past 2 years that have crossed over. Is there any way for you to see if there's anyone around me right now? Thank you. Okay, that is great to know. And I can edit that out if you want that. Yes, I definitely will, and I'm gonna keep that for myself. Okay, back to our regularly
Yes.
scheduled programming. We're almost done.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that. That was really sweet
You're
of you. I really
welcome.
appreciate it. I love to see how
She's
I mean,
doing
as you go
fine.
on, I'm
You
sure.
need to you need to remember her as she was when she was healthy, because she's fine. She looks fine. She doesn't have any
Yes.
residue or anything. She's got a light around her. She's fine.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I still have
Yep.
her little card that I keep out. I actually just put it danced with it the other day to the George Michael song Freedom. That was our like theme song. And I have it out on my dresser next to my bed. I've had it next to my bed for a long time. So yeah, she's still with me. She's wonderful. So thank you for doing that for me.
You're
Okay, let's
welcome.
just a couple more questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so just a couple more questions and then we'll wrap this up. I would love to dive into really quick before we start the wrap up, only a few more questions. Past life regression. I'd love to talk about that because it can be a controversial topic. What do you say to skeptics, and how can exploring past lives help with personal healing?
Well, I like to start by saying in my world, those lifetimes aren't past. The soul is experiencing all of these incarnations simultaneously.
Like
So,
this, right?
like a ray coming out, like,
Like this.
yeah, it's like they're all happening at the same time. We're on a
Mm,
timeline, which is why we think they're past or future. But to the soul, it's all at once.
mhm.
So that's first thing.
So mind-bending.
Yes. Second thing, you do not have to believe in past lives in order to benefit from a past life regression. You just have to be open to the experience of maybe learning something about yourself. So that's the next thing that I would say to people. There is a benefit if you have an issue, getting to where I hate that word, but if you have an issue in your life or a concern that you want a clarity about, and you go to a past life regressionist person, then you don't have to hold a belief of past lives. If you're open to having the experience of whatever comes up for you and during the time that you're with them, you're going to receive some sort of healing or clarity. What do I say to the skeptics? That's fine. You can I'm a skeptic. I have to have proof from spirit that it's real. I've done that since they woke me up. I've always asked for them to validate for me my experience, demonstrate to me that what I'm experiencing is actually not a figment of my imagination. I had a past life experience, again, a story from the book, where I was in my certification, week-long certification, and the poor guy that was regressing me, because we had to regress each other in order to the teacher had to watch us do this in order for us to receive our certificate. Poor guy. Um, I had the most vivid past life experience I've ever had. It was like I was in that moment. I was a uh, probably Neanderthal male from the time of the saber-toothed tigers. I was short, very heavy, very powerful, and we opened the past life with me running. I didn't even speak English. He had to ask me to speak in a language he could understand because I was just grunting at him. And I'm on the
Mhm.
table, conscious. Okay, so I'm aware that I'm having this weird experience, but I'm in a hypnagogic state, so I'm going along with the experience, and we ended up chasing down a saber-toothed tiger, and we got to a certain point, and I went off, and I s in that lifetime, I went off by myself while they were taking care of the tiger. And in this lifetime, I started weeping, and
Mhm.
it was uncontrollable tears that were coming from I don't know where, but they were 10,000 years old and they were held in my body until I let them go. Because as chief of the tribe, I could not display weakness. We were chasing the saber-toothed tiger because the tiger was eating the children, and he had eaten my son. So he killed my
Oh,
son, and that's why I finally went after him. So was that a real experience? Well, there's no way in my waking life I would lay on a table in front of a room full of people and cry my frickin' eyes out.
start right.
Like, what the heck? And in my mind, I'm going, what the heck is going on here? So, was it a figment of my imagination? I don't know, but I'll tell you, I felt better. When I got up off that table, I was
Mhm.
lighter. So, I believe giving my body the chance to express that out of my physical form, because every time the soul creates a vehicle to incarnate through, that vehicle carries all the records that are relevant to the expansion of consciousness or understanding of the soul. So those records are stored in the physical body. And if they're not
Mhm.
addressed, there's no healing.
Mhm.
So, can you
Mhm.
receive benefit from past life regression? Yes. Is everybody hypnotizable? No. But most people are. And if you're not, you're
Mhm.
not, and that's fine too.
I've had times where I've been completely resistant. Like I've back in the past, I've tried to be regressed so many times and it just and I have experienced it and I can as soon as we're talking about it, I can already picture something that I always see when I close my eyes. But it seems like sometimes I felt just a brick wall. Brick wall, like you're not going to get me. This is as far as we're going. So there can be resistance to it
Well, and
for sure.
sometimes it could be the facilitator. Maybe you didn't have a good match with
Mhm.
whoever was working with you,
Mhm.
and that's fine too. If you don't feel safe, your ego is
Mhm.
not going to
Yeah.
put you in a spot where you're going to be in danger. So if you as a
Mhm.
person don't connect with your the person who's doing the regression, then of course you're not going to let them, because the
Mhm.
bottom line is you are always in control. I could have at any moment in time said, "Oh, I'm done with this. This is too weird for me," and I could have brought myself
Mhm.
back and sat up, but I was so curious as to what was happening. I let myself have the experience.
Mhm. And you have to be open to it.
Yes.
I can't go in with a ton of resistance. So that's probably the key to beginning being open. I would like to before we find out where people can work with you and find you, I would like to real quick hear a little bit about your book, Signals from My Soul. Shares insights from your 30 plus year journey. What's one lesson from your experiences that you wish more people understood?
Probably the universe is not going to let you down. You are part of that field of intelligence, and therefore you're not going to let yourself down, basically, is what I would say. There is no
Mhm.
separation. That is a figment of our imagination that we have created for our purposes of learning here. But truly, the bottom line is spirit, the universe, source, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, is always going to be there for us because we are part of that.
Mhm. Mm. That makes me feel like I'm being carried away on wings, like floating away when you can know that the universe has our back and it will never let us down. It's a beautiful thing to take away from this conversation. So, how can people find and work with you? What's the best way?
They can go to my website, juliamarie.us, and there they'll find pretty much everything that they could think of. That's the best way to find
Okay.
me.
And I know that you have, where is it? You have wait, let me look here. Yes, you have a free meditation. I had started that and I saved the link because I want to do it tomorrow morning. I want to do it tomorrow morning too. So I know you have a lot of free stuff on there and you have a lot that on your website that people can take part in. I think that's fabulous. So I will definitely link that in the show notes. One more question before you go, because I ask all my guests is, what does it mean for you to live with an awakened heart?
It simply means that I am open to the possibility. That's what I would say, that my heart is open to the possibility of whatever is out there. The limits of whatever
Mhm.
my awareness is, I am open to the possibility of learning there is so much more. So that's what I
Mhm.
would say.
Beautiful. I am open to the
Possibility.
possibility. Beautiful possibility. Well, Julia, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Awaken Heart podcast.
Well, before we go, can I make an offer to
Mhm.
your lovely
Sure.
audience?
Yeah.
If any of
hmm
them would like to get put in a drawing for a free reading, all they have to do is go to Amazon, purchase a copy of the book. I don't care if it's Kindle or not. And if they send me an email at juliamarie.us with a screenshot of their receipt, for 2 weeks after this podcast is launched, I will put their name on a list for a drawing for a free reading.
Great. Free reading. Okay. And I will let you know when this episode is going to be available and we'll
Perfect.
time it from there. Wonderful. That's a beautiful, generous gift that you're offering everyone on the Awaken Heart podcast audience. So thank you. All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Well, thanks
Get
for
some
having
allergy
me.
medicine.
I will. Should
You're
have taken
welcome.
some before this.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's beautiful. It's sunny. Is it sunny by you? We've got the sun
Yes.
out. It's like,
We got the
yay.
wind blowing, but
Yeah.
it's sunny.
Yeah, we're getting it too because
Yep.
you're not too far off of you're just below me, so you're not too
Mhm.
far away from me. All right, well, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.